Had enough yet? You tired? Did you fight with one moment of depression today? Have you been fighting with it? You had on and off battles with depression? Hey, I got great news for you. All right, I'm going to share something with you, some of the tools that I guarantee you that will start giving you, through the power of God, the ability to start winning and overcoming these battles. A year and a half ago, I got to a point where depression, anxiety, no more. I was done. God gives me the armor. God gives me the power to do that through him, not by myself, but to do it through him. I ran across this article, a lady named Sophie Baya. She's incredible. And she wrote one of the best articles I've ever seen on depression. A lot of times we hear that word so much now, depression, anxiety, we just kind of blow it off. But man, it's the real deal if you've ever dealt with it. It's something I think that we Chad and I have talked about this on our podcast. I've talked about this with Uncommon Ministries, with you on different times that, and depression is the real deal. And the more people suffer from it, the less they talk about it. A lot of times people you don't know who seem the happiest, they're the ones who battle it the most. You look at the comedians, and I think it's probably the highest suicide rate in anybody in big industry. People appear happy and they're not. But Sophie Baya wrote this article called Overcoming Depression, and how to keep getting up. And I want to share some of that with you. She starts off by saying, I'm not always sure what brings on depression, but I know it leaves me crushed and paralyzed in what I call horizontal mode. Horizontal mode is when I'm laying down and it hurts, but it hurts even worse than to rally toward any movement. Depression is not some kind of pity party. She says, I'm a bad A-grown woman. Right? It's like a prolonged seizure or labor contractions from your insides. You've dealt with it before. A lot of this is going to hit home because it brought back memories for me of when I used to go through a lot of that. I've never heard it described so deep. So I hope this reaches home. But I'll tell you what, by the time we're done, we'll give you the tools to overcome it. Because she overcame it, I overcame it, you're going to overcome it. You're going to overcome it. We can do it ourselves. We don't need medicine, don't need a counselor, don't need a coach. You can do it yourself. They help. And if you're not moving, that's a good way to go. We'll talk about that in a second. But she says, I wish my confused friends knew that I wasn't just sitting here, simmering and sulking in my emotion. The weight of something just collapses on top of me. When it feels like it lands on you, like you can't even expand your chest when you're breathing. And I don't even think about my issues. I'm swallowed up in hopeless heaviness, painfully, inexplicably. So good with words. I wish my friends knew that I'm as discouraged as they are seeing myself like this. I can't wait to feel normal again. I hope they know that I'm not milking this for attention. For $1 million, I wouldn't drag this heaviness out for one more millisecond longer than it has to last. I can't wait to stand up again. I want my friends to know that I'm doing everything I can, everything I know how to disarm this thing that's gripping my life. The thing with depression, or at least how it feels for her, she says, is that it's not you. It's not who you are, and you know it. So when you have good days, you engage. You take on responsibilities. You make promises, because that's you. That's the real you. It's in you to live, to serve, to lead, and to love. But then a bad day hits, or a string of bad days can overwhelm you. You're no longer even the person in the room. It's just the skeleton of you now. That skeleton frame cannot bear the weight of a very normal circumstance. Responsibilities, relationships. Frail you fails, crumbles beneath pressure, and you let people down. I've let people down because that frail me comes in, even though that's not me. Are you dealing with the same thing? After enough time through this cycle, you learn all too well the dread of facing, or worse yet, bailing on the commitments you already made to take on the good days. So when I'm in a good day, I'll take on these responsibilities. I would take on these choices, or the me that I knew was me. And then that bad day comes around. And then I give all that up, knowing I couldn't even deal with it. And when the good days came, I still shied away from taking full potential of living and moving forward. Because you know that soon that bad day is going to hit again. I knew it was coming. When I used to mess up things, or when I get something right, I go, okay, Russ, how long before you blow it again? I don't give the devil that power anymore, and you don't need to either. We're not going to say that anymore. Right? Then you wouldn't be able to live up to everything, that we're going to proclaim, and when we speak God's healing, and we speak that depression away, and we tell the devil he's got to go, and we put that armor on in the morning, our mindset can't even what if. We got to throw the what ifs out. You got to move them into your trash bin. Going back to her article, at pretty much every juncture of her day, she would battle with a mental tug of war. And I'm going to read kind of what she says, on whether I'll be able to pull it all together for things I have coming up. In shame and fear. How many of you dealt with depression who dealt with shame and fear? My knee-jerk reaction is just to shut it all down and say no to doing anything for an indefinite season. I would get to my door at my house and go to grab the handle, and I couldn't even grab the handle to open the door. I know how it feels to go through it. I'm not there anymore. Thank God, man. Enough's enough. Enough is enough for you. She says, but the insatiable tyrant of fear always seeked in to steal more life from me. Even if depression wasn't present, it would still take that life away. A lot of time, the seclusion of depression is because we don't have it in us to be who we think people need us to be. She says here in bold, I thought this was so strong. So here's my breakthrough. Relieve yourself of the burden that the world needs you to perform at a certain level for you to be allowed to participate in it. I'm going to say that again. Relieve yourself of the burden that the world needs you to perform at a certain level for you to be allowed to participate in it. You be you. You be who God created you to be. He doesn't want you to change. You're allowed to show up tired and less bubbly. You're allowed to say, hey, I'm actually not doing great. When a friend asks how you're doing, you don't always have to make the room feel comfortable by offering the world a smile or some perfectly timed joke. There's space for me, even when I'm depressed. When my depressed self has nothing really impressive to offer. On my road to defeating this beast, here's what I've learned. I had to choose my past to move past my annoyance and my devastation. The depression for me, depression wasn't just a one-time visitor. I had to keep repeating it. I had to keep combating depression. I still get thoughts. We're all human. We're going to have bad days. I had to still battle that same monster. I had become willing to do things that ground me in hope, truth, and perspective. It's hard enough to do anything when you're depressed. It's harder to do things that move you out of a depressive state when you feel like it's going to return. Remember when you feel depressed and the good days come and you're like, man, everything's going away. I feel good today. Oh my God, when's it coming back? When's it coming back? That's fear, man. That's tough. No. But it is my commitment to myself, to the goals I've set, the plans I've made, for the legacy that I want to leave. I decided not to let my bad days negate what I'll do on my good days. Even if some seasons, the bad outnumber the good. It's okay. All right, we're going to do that together. All right, we're going to throw up here 9 tips. 9 tips, and we're going to beat this thing. All right, number 1, I believe in Jesus. Okay, so when I feel taunted to doubt my abilities, my tomorrow self, when I've already been swept under by the darkness, here's some things we're going to do. I believe in Jesus, which means I lean into believing who he says I am. I am who he says I am. I is who he says I is. I choose to believe that he brings light that beats all darkness. So I cling to the words he says, the practices he recommends, and the other sources that point to him. And it shows me the life that he promised. That's number 1. Number 2, this is me, man. I love music. I just actually separated my YouTube channel from ministry to a music one. I love music so much. I didn't want to intertwine them. So now I got 2 launches. There's going to be one, everything music matters to me. It's huge. So number 2, I listen to the songs that remind me that God lives in me. I want to exist in a place that's utterly engulfed who he is and what he does, because that's where I find freedom. I can't remember listening to there's many worship songs to where I would listen to things about God and feel awful, hate myself. No, man, when I cut on his music, I start to feel good. I listen to songs, choose to submit to what the verses say, what they say versus what my struggle's trying to sell me. I'm not going to let that win. So turn on that Jesus music. It's okay to have secular. Look, I love my rock and roll. I love my country. I love my R&B. Love it all. Love my oldies. But I got to cut on my Jesus too. 3, reach out. reach out to my trusted, close circle of support. Frequently, depression will steal my energy and words. So it may be something as simple as a group text to send somebody, hey, don't have it in me to really tell you or talk about it today. Just, can you pray for me? People do that to me all the time. And I pray on the spot. And I don't say, hey, I will pray for you. I go, pray now. And right when I hit send, like, Lord, and it might be 10 seconds, Lord, take over the situation. Or heal that moment. And I don't have, sometimes you can say, feel hopeless today. Give your people a chance to pour truth and love bombs on you. Remember bombs over Baghdad. Let them drop them love bombs, man. There's enough ugly. All right. Allow them the opportunity to release prayers that will help you rise. I recently, talking about getting in groups, I got on that app. There was a guy I watched online because I've watched so many webinars and so many positive things and so many preachers. And the app took me to a church out of Ohio that I filled out something on their app. It sent me something it asked me some questions about myself. So we started getting a Zoom meeting group. Every Tuesday night, I'm in there with 12 people, amazing people. And we talk about a sermon from the Sunday before. That gives me energy. It's no one from around here, no one within hundreds of miles, but I feel like I know these people. Okay, if you need help getting into a room, contact me. My email scrolls across the banner. Okay, email me, let me know. I'll get you involved in a group here locally. And that's just people talking about Jesus. If you're not a Christian, just talking about life. Okay, we got to help each other out with community. We got to pull together. I will help you get there. Next thing, number 4, a gratitude journal. Rant obsessively. I incentive myself to practice gratitude the same way. I incentivize I try to do that with my kids. All right, when I say I'm trying to speak good into them. I translate Psalm 100, verse 4. All right, to the kids. God comes close to us when we thank him. So I quite literally depend on his nearness for my grounding every single day. I decided to keep thankfulness on the end of my tongue and in my fingers. I got to have God every day, man. I got to thank him. I got to honor him. Number 5, constantly have mindset enriching podcasts. My AirPods stay in my pocket. They're in there now. I have my phone, wherever I'm at, or a book. Mindset enriching podcasts, audiobooks, sermons to play when I drive, clean, cook, work out, sitting on the couch playing the PlayStation. MLB The Show comes out February 5th, the new one. I have worn out 23. I'm looking forward to 24. My mind is unfathomably skilled at filling itself with hopeless projections and sorrow. Okay, I don't need no help with that. It helps me to fill that space where my head gets all out of whack in rooms with goodness, right? And helpful content instead of spiral-inducing thoughts that I can easily come up with on my own. I can do that. I can bring up the bad thoughts for myself. Number 6, I made a shift in the last couple of years. It's been 24 hours each week. And this is what Sophie said. From Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, when I'm off the clock without getting anything done. She's talking about with her kids here. She says, my daughter knows things go differently on this day. They call it their Sabbath together. Right? She gets together with her kids, and she basically said that her kids get to have her 24 hours, undistracted by work, no emails, no to-do list. She says she watches kid club videos about God, reads the Bible, even studies Hebrew root words, so she can get a deeper picture of what God's heart and story. If your child, after being in school all week, is watching mama do that, or watching daddy do that, and then they're doing it together, that's pretty solid. You're going to set some foundation. Okay? You know, she said, hey, I sleep, I don't work or clean. She said, my kiddo eats simple foods for 24 hours. Anything she didn't get done till sundown just has to wait. And they have survived so far the last 2 years. She said, I can't explain it, but during the weeks I do this, she says, I feel taken care of and capable. The weeks that I don't do that, I'm far more prone to discouragement. So if she skips that Sabbath that they've declared from Friday night to Saturday night, if she misses it, she's much more prone to discouragement. Something about the way God designed things. We do better when we follow the beat of his heart, found in the words that he put in the Bible. 7, seek a counselor, coach. Okay, I'll tell you now, if you're dealing with some major depression, you don't need to come to a coach. I help people who want to get better. we're on that motivated path, who don't have a lot of trauma, a lot of damage. I know very good counselors though. So she says, I see a counselor to make sure that I can, and make sure that I continue seeing one. If it's a counselor, if it's a coach, if it's somebody, a pastor, someone in the church, talk to someone. It takes work to find a counselor, schedule appointments, and figure out a budget to afford it, but it's worth it. We're going to start putting things up for Uncommon Ministries. I've got people who want to be coached but can't afford it. It's not that it's expensive, but I only got so many time slots I got to work people in. All right, so we're going to try to see if people can donate in there. And we'll take that money and give it people who are looking for counseling, looking for coaching. Then you have to define the area where do they really want it. Invest. The most important thing you invest in is yourself. All right, so we have to. It's kind of something we're praying about right now. So I'll bring that up in the future. But seeing a counselor, or a therapist, or a coach is like letting the air out of an overwhelmed balloon. Overwhelmed balloon. It knocks down barriers that you don't even realize are there. So just having someone to talk to makes a huge difference. Number 8, she says, I hate exercising with a deep and fiery passion, but I work out. I enjoy working out. I enjoy getting out there and moving around. If you start doing it, it becomes part of your routine, your lifestyle. We got to take care of the temple, man. We got to take care of what built us, because God made this thing called endorphins. She says, I see it as hypocritical to complain about a struggle. I'm not using what's been put in my hands to combat it. We have endorphins in us. When we work out, when we move, when we're active, those things start making you feel better. God put those in us. If you don't use them, there's a tool right there. You're kind of just throwing off to the side, especially when you, on the days that you don't feel like it the most, are going to be the days that you get the most done, and you feel so much better after. You know that. I know that. Number 9, finally, as we wrap up, I lean toward eating healthy foods that give me energy. Remember, that's her saying that, not me. I don't eat healthiest. I eat meat. I am a carnivore. I eat like a predator. I eat a cow, a pig, and a chicken, and that's what I like. But healthy foods make me feel better. Cutting sodas out, drinking water. I think I'm like 20 years not drinking water. I drink water all the time now. Makes a huge difference in how my body feels. Notice I'm much more prone to sadness and discouragement, but I'm overwhelmingly tired. I'm not sleeping well. I need energy to show up for the task. I'm not eating well. I'm not working out well. If I don't have that energy, it's a spiral. Okay. As we wrap it up, knock that out there. There we go. Getting better. Depression doesn't need to leave you feeling hopeless. If you're struggling with depression, see a counselor. Keep seeing a counselor. Make hope and nearness to God for your obsessive pursuit. Let people speak over you. Good people who tell you the good they see in you. Filling your head with hopeful content. And be grateful for as much as you can in life. Right? I know a list like this can kind of seem like it's overwhelming, especially when there's no motivation or energy. But it healed her. It healed me. All right, it's healing people like me that I know. People like her that I know. Don't do all these all the time well. You're not going to do them perfectly, but that's okay. You got a plan. You're never going to have success without having a plan in place. I've been having these tools slowly and surely will keep you from despair and give you life. I want the same thing for you. We appreciate you here at Uncommon Ministries. We love you. Thanks for your support. We'll be back on Sunday night, me and Chad, 1 week before the Super Bowl, and we take the Super Bowl off. I just want to see you rise. I don't want to see you fall for the devil's lies. You can do it. I believe in you. Praying for you. God bless you.